So today's lesson, we're going to work on this shape we see here in the bottom right corner, which is called the flanged elbow. It's called this because there are two of these end caps, which we call flanges, and there's this kind of bent cylinder, which is called an elbow. So, we're given the front and right side view, so I want you to take a moment and try to figure out what this shape looks like, because it's going to be important as we go through this to know what this shape looks like as a 3D model. If you have a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what it looks like, or you just want to check, go ahead and skip to the end of the video where I have the finished product so you can really see what it looks like, and then come back to this point. Okay, so if you try to think about how we can create that bent cylinder looking thing, we can't really do it with a standard extrude or press pull because it's at an angle. It's being rotated in a circular manner as it extrudes. It's not being extruded at 90 degrees. No matter how you rotate it, orient it, no matter what you do, it won't work. So we need a different type of extrusion, and that's what I'm going to be showing you today. I'm going to be showing you two different methods, two other new methods, in order to extrude. But first, I'm going to start by creating one of these flanges. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to draw a circle at the origin, and I'm going to give it the diameter, which we see in the right side view, is 3 5/8. One thing to point out, there's a note in the top left corner that says flanges are identical, meaning these two end caps are going to be the same. So both of them are going to be 3 5/8 in diameter. Instead of entering in the radius, which is what I'm usually prompted to do, I'm going to go over here to the command bar where it says diameter and click on that. And then I can enter in my diameter instead of my radius. Can do a little bit less math. It makes it a little bit easier on me. I'll enter in the improper fraction for 3 5/8, so that's 29 eighths. And then I have my circle. And then I need to do the hole in the middle, which I see in the front view is 1 1/4 inches in diameter. So again, I'm going to start a circle. It's 0, 0. And its diameter, so I'll click on diameter here, is going to be 1.25. Ooh, why won't it let me enter it? 1.25. Hit enter. There we have it. Now all we have left is the 4 holes that go in a circle here. There's a circle construction line in the right side view, which is something we've never really drawn, freehand or otherwise. But if you actually type in construction line, you can find in the top right corner, there's a construction line circle, which is going to be very handy here. We start at the origin, and then it's previewed in white, but don't worry, it will be red. We start at the origin, and we set the diameter to be 2 3/4. We see in the front view, but it's the radius right now, and it's not letting us change that. So let's just calculate the radius of this is going to be 1 3/8 or 11/8. And there we have it. We have our construction circle. Terrific. Now we'll draw circles at each quadrant of that construction circle. And the circles are labeled in the right side view. It says 3/8 drill, 8 holes, 4 holes in each flange. So 3/8 drill, the diameter is 3/8, the radius is 3/16. Now you could just do that 4 times, but I think it's a little bit easier to use the copy command. Hit enter, select my circle, hit enter again, select the center mark of my circle as my base point, and then just click on all 4 quadrants. So that's one way to do it. You could have just drawn them. There are other ways to do it, which we'll cover in future lessons, but this is the way that I think will be easiest now, just to not have an extra new thing to show you. I'll leave it like this. We'll use copy. Now what we'll do is we'll turn off our construction line layer, so this circle's out of our way, and we'll press pull this shape. But I'm going to rotate it a bit and bring it into conceptual before I pull it up, just so I can make sure it's doing what I want it to. It's working as expected. So I press pull, select inside this bounded area, and I pull it up by the height of this flange, 5/16 of an inch, and done. You could have also taken the outer circle and extruded it up, and then drawn circles on top and pulled them in, but I think this is a little bit easier. Next step will be this elbow. If you haven't already, I want you to stop the video and go ahead and watch the Revolve mini lesson, because this is a really brand new topic. And I think if you just jump into this part of the video, it's going to be confusing. So go ahead, pause, watch that quick mini lesson. It should be only a couple minutes. And then come back to this point. All right. So I'm going to draw a circle, and I want to make sure, because this revolve, it's made up of two components: the sketch that I'm extruding and an axis that I'm revolving it around, because it's not going at 90 degrees, it's going around some sort of axis being rotated about it in a circular manner. Now I want to start on the top of this, so I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to make sure I'm highlighting this top section. Now if I hover over both circles, the one up here and the one down below, I'll get two center marks. And I want to make sure I'm selecting the one up top, not the one at the origin, because I want to make sure I'm drawing this circle on the top of my flange, not on the bottom, because it's not going to extrude right if it's on the bottom. And something I do to make sure that I'm drawing on the correct plane is I will rotate around. And if I rotate around, I can tell, yes, I'm drawing on the top of this. Terrific. And now I'll enter in my diameter of the cylinder, which we see in the front view, is 1 13/16. So let me click on diameter. 1 13/16 as an improper fraction will be 29/16. There we have it. We've created our circle. Now we need to create our axis of rotation. Now, I think the easiest way to do this is to do a construction line and offset it by however far this is supposed to go. So I'm going to go ahead and type in construction line, 2 point, put it through the center of this circle, and I'm going to offset it to the right because I'm going to pull this circle in this direction, and that'll keep my front view where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to offset to the right here. So offset by the radius of this extrusion, which we see in the front view, is 2 3/8. As an improper fraction, that's going to be 19/8. Yep. Click, and there I have it, my axis of rotation. Do a quick rotate around to make sure that axis is in the right spot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on revolve. Just remind ourselves the order of things. First, we're going to click the sketch that we want to revolve, and second, we'll click the axis of rotation. The sketch is going to be our circle. Be very careful to make sure you're selecting the circle, not the object. You might have to zoom in a little bit. Once you've selected that circle, hit enter, and click on the axis of symmetry, rotate a bit to make sure it's going in the right direction, and we see this thing revolving. You should get a preview going in this direction, and the angle of rotation is going to be 90 degrees, which if we look at the front view of the shape, it is, because the overall length from the end of the flange to the center of the bottom flange is 2 11/16, and the flange height is 5/16. 5/16 minus 2 11/16 is 2 3/8. Long story short, 90-degree revolve here. So I'll type in 90. Now, if your thing revolves in the wrong direction, it's probably because you clicked something differently in the axis of rotation. That's okay. Try again, and this time make it -90, and it should work for you. Okay, everything is looking good. I've revolved my thing. Now, I need to have a hole going through the middle of this. And this isn't going to be as simple as drawing a circle and press pulling. And we couldn't use revolve like press pull works with a bounded area. So we're going to need to use the subtract command. Now, go ahead, if you haven't already, make sure you watch the subtract mini lesson so that this is all super clear for you and you know how to use it before you jump in here. Okay, so I'm going to need to first create kind of like a miniature elbow that goes inside of this one. So I'm going to draw a circle on this face. The only issue I have is if I try to, hover over here, it doesn't exactly let me hover. If I hover over it so I get the center mark, it doesn't let me really draw on this face. You might run into that problem. So what I want you to do is just draw some construction lines. 2-point construction lines going here and here. It's possible it lets you draw a circle on here, and there's a way we can move the grid onto this face, which makes it easier to draw, but we're not covering that today, and it's really involved. So if you have any trouble drawing a circle on this face, just draw construction lines like I did over here. And you should have no problem drawing a circle on this face because you should be able to highlight blue, click here, and then the radius of this thing, the diameter is 1 1/4. And now we have to revolve it. We're going to revolve it into the elbow we already have. So again, I'm going to use revolve. My sketch, I'm going to make sure I'm selecting the circle. Nope. Try that again. Great. My axis of rotation is going to be the same as before. It's going to be the construction line down here that I use. Be careful that you're actually selecting on there. And you'll see that it'll give you a preview coming out, but we actually want it to go in. If it's going in for you, great. Just type in 90 degrees and you're good to go. But it's coming out. And if I try to bring my cursor back over like inside the elbow, it just brings it to like 330 degrees, brings it to 360 degrees. So what I want to do is I want to enter in a negative number. I'm going to type in -90, and that'll pull that revolve into the shape. And if I click on here, you can see that I'm selecting a shape inside of a shape. Most CAD programs will give you the option to revolve to cut, but here we don't have that option, so we have to make do with subtract. If you haven't watched the video on subtract, make sure you do it. So let's just hover over it for a second and remind ourselves the order of things. So the first thing we're going to select is the object we want to keep, and the second part we're going to want to select is the object we want to cut away. So I'm going to hit escape to make sure I'm not selecting any objects. I'm going to click on subtract, select the object I want to keep, hit enter, and then hover over the cylinder on the inside, not the cylinder, the elbow on the inside, and click on that and hit enter. And once I do that, it should be hollowed out. It's a little hard to see, so you can change your appearance, your visual style to be X-ray, so you can see inside of here. Looks great. Looks all good to me. Now the last step is I need to take this flange on the bottom and put it up here. Let's think about this for a second. So we can do this. We could draw sketches on this face and draw the whole flange again and pull it out. But I think it's a little bit easier to use the flange we already have and replicate it. So I'm going to type in copy because I'm making a copy. It doesn't just work for 2D objects, it works for 3D objects too. Select my flange, hit enter. Then I need a base point. Now I thought this through, and I think the bottom center, the bottom circle, so like the origin of this right now, is what the best thing is going to be to use, because I can press it and just use these two construction lines that are intersecting and just place it where they intersect, and this should be in the right spot. Okay. Now you're probably looking at this going, that's not the right spot. This thing's all janky and rotated wrong. That's no good. Well, it's in the right spot. It's just not rotated right. So what can I do? I can rotate it. So I'm going to type in rotate 3D. Select that flange, hit enter, and then select 2 points along my construction line. And then I'm going to need to rotate. It's either going to need to rotate 90 degrees or -90 degrees. So I'm going to do a quick check after I rotate it. I'm going to type in 90. It looks okay. I'm just going to hover over both the elbow and the flange and make sure they're not intersecting with each other. If you get it so that they are intersecting with each other, just press Control-Z and undo it. And then do the same thing again. Just flip the angle. So instead of 90 degrees, do -90, or instead of -90, do 90. It all depends on where along this construction line you click. If you click like 1 point and then to the right of it, it'll be 90 degrees, one orientation. If you click on the construction line and then go to the left of that first point you clicked, it's going to need to be a -90. So it all depends on the order there. So if it gets messed up for you, just try it again and you should be able to get it. Okay, so this is now complete. I can go ahead and turn off my construction lines. And I can make these three one object using the union command we learned about last week. Hit enter. We have one object. Then I can move this guy over here and get rid of these lines. And I'm done. I have a completed elbow with flanges, flanged elbow. Go ahead and click on X-ray so I can see what it looks like. I think X-ray is a really nice representation for this. And that's done. So that's it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create the same object, but this time with sweep. You're going to need to know how to do both.